she was speaking about the issue of funds.
Hakimu, try to land.
Yes,
Try to land in a minute. Eh?
yes, yes, yes. The issue of funds going to one person. So in future, let us also think of if we are contributing money to help people, let it be handled by many people because some people overlook others. Some people overlook others. Personally, I was injured. This is my 46th day in the house. I reached to these people and they have never done anything. I was plastered on my leg. It was removed the other day. The doctor told me to stay in the house so that the leg I can get more strength. You have people looking up at you, and then you tell people they call you a con man. You are in pain, somebody calls you a con man. And what they have was given to them to help others. It's not fair. Just because you are not in Nairobi, you are in a outskirts of Nairobi. So it is not fair. Next time, let us form a committee to deal with this issue so that it is not dealt with one person. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Hakimu, for that. I think Tomboya, are you able to hear us now? I can't hear you. Hillary, are you able to hear Tomboya? 10? Can you hear him?
No, I can't hear Tomboya.
No, Tomboya, I think he has issues with his mic.
Okay. Baraka, please, if you can go, and then Tito, and then Kenyan Jump. I can't hear Baraka. Hillary?
It was me, King.
Yeah, Wakili, I think also you have a connection issues. Let Western go. Western.
Western Shilaho.
Thank you so much, Hillary, and your co-host Senator Okiya. Great respect for finding time to come to this platform, and I salute every other person on this forum from wherever you are tuned in. Senator, I just wish to say something about your submission vis-a-vis elections. You talked about digital elections as the cure to the perennially contested elections that we have in Kenya. And I think I differ with that position because that position emanates from something we call technological determinism, where human beings tend to think that technology is central to their progress, development, and it's a cure remedy to many of the issues that they have to contend with. And in this context, and you put it quite clearly, the issues with regard to Kenya's constantly contested elections has nothing to do with technology, has nothing to do with whether elections are held manually or not. It has got everything to do with morality, integrity, and those things machines can't cure. So when you say machines are neutral, machines can't be neutral because machines can only be as good as the people who use them. They can only be as good as the people who design them. Machines can be racist. They can be classist. They can be biased. They can be prejudiced. Machines can steal elections. Because if those who design those machines want them to steal elections, they will. And we've seen that in Kenya, that whether it was during the era when elections were being done manually and then they're carried in containers and then they're counted at some polling station, or now when we're using technology to identify voters and transmit, we still have got issues with integrity. So that cannot be cured by technology, lack of integrity, corruption, lack of ethics, lack of that you can't cure. I can draw your attention to Gambia, a small country in West Africa. Since 1965, the British introduced a voting system called the use of marbles. It's a marble voting system. They use marbles. Instead of ballot boxes where you drop, your ballots in Gambia, you drop marbles in boxes, and they count those marbles, and they've been using those elections ever since. In 2017, it is the same system they used against a long-time dictator, Yahya Jammeh, and he lost. They used it 2021 again. Of course, there are contests and issues that you would find even in other jurisdictions. So human agency, Senator, is what I'm saying. Human agency cannot be replaced. It's the same thing you find currently, that this buzzword and razzmatazz around AI, artificial intelligence. Machines cannot outthink human beings. They can't. So people who think that AI will do things that human beings can't, they're being reductive. They're victims of what we call techno-determinism. They think machines can think better than human beings, whereas logically, machines are designed by people. So can they think more or do better things than people? They can't. So, Senator, I differ with you as far as that is concerned. I think it will not help, even if we were to go digital entirely. We don't do anything about uh, paperwork. We will still have contested elections because the people presiding over elections, particularly the state, is not invested in credible elections. So what do? In the US, they don't have a uniform ballot paper. They don't have a uniform way of voting. In some states, you punch the ballot. In other states, you make a mark, and they don't even have the same color. But only in 2000, Al Gore, Bush Jr. contested elections, and last elections when Donald Trump contested. Otherwise, those elections have been relatively credible. And for those who regard US as the bastion of democracy, will cite that as evidence. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Weston, for that coming in. Kingsman, who's coming in?
I think next was next was Tito. Tito.
Oh, Tito Kirimi, go ahead. Can't hear him. Can you hear him, Kingsman?
No, I can't hear him.
Okay. I don't know. Kenyan German lady, do you have anything to add? As a senator come in and NATO to chime in again. Kenyan German lady, are you here?
Yes, I was wanting some food, but I wanted to say that thank you very much once again for giving me the second chance to speak. You guys are the only opposition currently in the country. You cannot relent, you cannot surrender. Let us start again, restart, and just see what methods have functioned in other countries that led to successful protests. Okay, but I received a message from a friend, and she said, uh, who's just spoken? The guy speaking, Akimu, said he was threatened by someone from State House. He should involve the president, Faith Odhiambo, and the Law Society of Kenya. Okay, so just so that she can take note of that. And also, she said, that is my friend Rosemary, we should advocate, please advocate. We recall all MPs, they are useless. I totally agree with that. Now, I wanted, like I was saying, you are the only opposition. Do not relent. We have people like Atwoli, Liponi Atwoli, who's Francis Liponi Atwoli, who's been called to president since 2001, 2001, I think, and he has failed all employees. What is going to happen to the help loan if you guys relent? What will happen? What are you expecting? What is going to happen to insurance now that you haven't worked for about 8 weeks? You destabilize the entire economy. You can do that again, but then you have to remain consistent. Every regime that was formed upon consistency. Even the French Revolution that led to the base of all constitutions in Europe and the United States, it was consistent. So you must remain consistent. You must put pressure as opposition. I had somebody asking Okiya Omtatah, what can you guarantee? And I apologize for speaking on his behalf. I'll just remain very brief. Can you guarantee that we don't pay taxes and we don't, repay the loan? That is not possible. First, when you come in as a president, you have to read the room. You have to see what happened historically, financially, and according to taxes. You have to look at those books, and then you see what you have to work with. So he cannot give you that guarantee because he's not even in position yet. But what I can guarantee you is that given another 2.5 years, approximately, you will have nothing to work with because we need students to study. We have the help loan, which guarantees that students who are financially unable to cater to their education can also, enjoy what the advantages of our democracy. But there is no democracy. You are the opposition. The only functional democracy that was in Kenya since independence was a time when these spaces started, when 100,000 people were on the spaces and beyond. Then we talk about a functional democracy, but at the moment it's not functioning. I urge you all, please, to continue the pressure. We in diaspora are going to fund those protests. Whoever needs transportation, but you have to guarantee also that you attend the protest. But protest you must. Protest you must, please. Thank you very much. I drop and yield. Thank you, Senator Okiya Omtatah. We see you, and we don't take it for granted. We need more politicians of your sort.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that, for your submission. Honorable Net, I don't know if you have anything to chime in and
a couple of things.
Yeah.
A couple of things, Larry. Thank you very much. So I've also scrolled the message section. There's a question directly to me, but before I get to do that one, I just want to speak briefly on digital elections before then Honorable Okiya would speak on it. I didn't hear what said about it, but I'd like to tell the gentleman who talked to us about technological determinism, this kind of big words that they use in the tech world, is that the Kenyan elections have come a long way. If you follow the process of the Kenyan elections from the days when the results have been declared by the district commissioner to the Mlolongo election to the first elections under the current constitution, I think the Kenyan election has gone a long way. I speak like this because I knew one of the regulations that was supposed to have made the Kenyan election fairly digital in its whole nature was not enacted by the time we had the election, and it was part of the failure of the last clamor for IEBC must go, because that is what we needed to do. You had an election in Kenya which was not entirely electronic. The regulation that Kenya needs to pass with regard to the next election is to show if we are going to have electronic voting or not, because what we had was quasi-electronic voting. And so that the manual register, which was a black book, which was always in the polling station, it is a black book that even had dead bodies, dead voters, and that's what's part of the challenge of that particular election. So what we needed to have done away with was the absence of that black book in any polling station. If whoever is participating in elections in Kenya would know what that black book means. So what happened in the last election is that the electronic system was made to fail in a couple of centers. And then the polling officers, because they already choreographed, then resulted to the black book, which means that dead voters still voted anyway. So if you moved an election system to an electronic voting system, it will, in a large way, support or stop the process of election theft like we see in Kenya. So it's something that you cannot wish away. I mean, I have had a chance to election observe across many places in the world, and the electronic voting systems have to a large extent supported in making sure that elections are credible, verifiable, and the sort of thing that you hope to do. We are yet to get there in Kenya. Even though you want us to work on our morality, which I think we need to do as a country, we will progressively reach there, but we also need systems to help us reach towards morality levels. That's number one. The second thing is Dr. Saisi Marasa asks if at all I think the Gen Z should morph into a political party. Now, Number one is that Kenya right now has about 90 political parties. You do not need another political party simply because people have different and fresh ideas. I think all these ideas that the Gen Z and the other Kenyans have can find home in one of the 90 political parties that are existent in Kenya. But just so that I detour a bit, even the political party process forming in Kenya does not, is one. The aspirations of the Constitution of Kenya with regard to political parties is they're supposed to be have a national character. They should not be discriminatory in any way. So the moment, for example, you have a Gen Z only party, it means you're discriminating on the other Kenyans on the basis of ageism and sexism and stuff like that. So you have to also be very careful that, yes, we are fighting for constitutionalism and rule of law, but we also must then know what is the aspiration of the Constitution with regard to political parties and political formation. Having said that, let me go back to the fact that I think it is true that the Gen Zs led the revolution, the Gen Z led the movement, but I also think that the Gen Z were backstopped by the various Kenyans in the various ages and categories. Those of you in diaspora who are not here, those people like Senator Okiya, Omtatah, who I do not think is a Gen Z, was part of the movement, and now he was part there. So we really must agree that what Kenya needs is a meeting of minds of people who mean well for Kenya, who believe in the spirit of constitutionalism and rule of law. I speak like that because if you've noticed, when my friends, a few of them joined some of them said that, their political party manifesto of UDA and them are similar. Now that's really disturbing. If at all the political manifestos are similar, therefore, then why even them contesting on different platforms? So we really need politicians in Kenya who believe in certain ideologies, and those ideologies are constitutionalism and rule of law that will then need to bring us together. You could be in 5 different political parties, but you must be in political parties and then have the DNA with some sort of political ideology, so that the Gen Zs, in my view, I could be wrong, need to find home in one of the 90 political parties, but move their political parties towards forming alliances with the ones that have similar ideologies. I sympathize with the ones in the other one called Kenya Kwanza, but also this other one, Azimio. They are bedfellows who found themselves there. They don't believe in anything. That is why in the 1 minute they can shortchange each other the way they're doing. It's because there's no ideology. There's nothing that puts them together. But I really think Gen Z is being driven by ideology, which they manifested very well. They want government that is clean, government that is not corrupt, government that believes in constitutionalism and rule of law. It is possible to find political parties right now that exist in Kenya that believe in those sort of things. The third thing that I saw raised there was with regard to Senator Okiya, Omtatah, and others resigning so that they put pressure on this government. Senator Okiya, if he resigns right now, there'll be a huge gap. The only reason why he's available on this call right now is because he's accessible. He's the sort of leader that you really want. So if at all you remove him from this particular political platform as we are right now, then you already have one deficit in terms of good governance. What Kenya needs to do is to push this parliament to be dissolved, because as it stands right now, it is unconstitutional and needs to be dissolved. Of course, when it's dissolved, that even gives us a chance to trial other people for presidency like Okiya, Omtatah and the rest in a way that makes Kenya move forward. The last thing I'd like to say is that the things that the Gen Z spoke about, budgeted corruption, public debt, good governance, those problems have not been sorted out. Those problems is what we really need to work together as Kenyans of goodwill to see how best do we do. And I'd like to thank the Kenyan diaspora for always standing out with Kenyans, both in terms of support, both in terms of ideas, in terms of research. And I really think that we really need to move forward in a progressive manner as Kenyans of goodwill to make sure that Kenya moves to the state that we have, a state that believes in inclusive political and economic institutions, a state that believes in rule of law and constitutionalism. I thank you.
Kingsman, go ahead. I don't know who was going next. Oh, Wanjiru.
Okay.
You guys are here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me, Hillary?
Yeah, I can hear you. You Chairman, align the people.
I didn't hear NATO, but I think Senator can go first, answer the array of questions that we've gone. And then Wanjiru, you can read from the comment section maybe before Senator goes. Wanjiru, are you there? I think,
yes, I'm there. Yes, I'm there. I just want to echo what the previous speaker said. I think
Senator,
it comes,
Senator,
it strikes. Can you hear me?
Kingsman, Wanjiru is talking. Can you hear?
No, I can't, but it's okay. It's okay. Let me just.
Okay. The previous speaker who said something that is very strikes at the core of who I am, and I believe in standing on the shoulders of giants who have walked before you. So the question as to whether a new party is required, no, a new party is not required. Absolutely not. There are more than 90 parties in Kenya, but it is important that we align ourselves with leaders who believe in what we believe. And I think there are certain leaders who have shown up, especially now that we are very engaged in the political discourse. We are beginning to understand the leaders who we already have, who are truly friends of Kenya. And I think it's important that we align ourselves with them so that we can strengthen those parties. Then we can ensure that we do not even dilute the vote, because that is the danger that we are facing. We need a critical mass of voters who are going with one, or the people that we have agreed that we are fronting. It doesn't have to be one party, but I definitely agree that Omtatah has always shown up as a friend of Kenya. There's also another party that I have been looking at, and I've read their manifesto. Is by I think it's called the third wave as well. Believes in what we believe. By Ekuru Okot. I think it is important that we just all agree, because the numbers are there. The Gen Zs have the numbers to form a government by their own. But it's not just the Gen Zs who are in this. This is the Gen Zote, including us. We have been brought into this thing, and I've even converted my mother, who is a boomer, and her entire church. So once we agree that we're going to go behind those couple of parties who believe in the Kenya that we imagine, the Kenya we imagine, we strengthen them, and then we allow our young leaders who are going to emerge to be mentored and to stand on the shoulders of these amazing giants who will help them become servant leaders. I think that is my submission. Please proceed.
Could I go 1 minute kindly?
Yes, sure, proceed.
Yes.
I've even I like the essence why I came up here, because Mheshimiwa Neto Zero, Mheshimiwa Neto and Wanjiru, you perfectly summarized the reason why I got up here. There is a thought that was advanced by an earlier speaker about us that have been participating in the struggle for better governance and for a merit-based society to embrace the existing political parties. You have perfectly illustrated it, Wanjiru, by saying that standing on the shoulders of giants that have existed and fought for the same very ideals that we want to come and agitate for. We have experienced and seen situations in which political parties have been personal vehicles for people to advance their personal interests. And when it comes to appointments, and for example, to Yala and all those nominations and all that, you see party leaders and their close associates and cronies are the ones that benefit. And you can say the reason that could explain the proliferation of political parties. Like, for example, you'll see a member of parliament is a party leader, and he's a party leader, and he's the only member of parliament. You'll see another one. He's a speaker of the Senate, and he's a power political party, and he has a number of MPs and MCAs and all that. These are all messed up. I want to add my voice and my weight and say we could identify like-minded political parties, and we form a coalition of one major political party, or a coalition that could reflect the very ideals that we want. Mheshimiwa Okiya, Omtatah, you have given your best for us.
It is our time also. We scratch your back at the same time. We've seen Wanjiru has mentioned Third Way Alliance. That is the Green United Party for NATO. There are a number of them that we could see and embrace and start honestly, because the journey of registering a new political party, doing a name search, reserving, and then having a certain percentage across the counties that are supposed to be registered members for it to portray the face of the country, it's going to be taking away from us a lot of time, a lot of resources. I would love a situation where we want to get to study these political parties. Mheshimiwa Okiya, Omtatah, if you can get a few minutes to explain the founding philosophy of your political party, what it stands for, and then we over time you go exposing the critical mass of the Gen Zs and the millennials and the majority of the voters that have been agitating in the streets and all those. So usually I say, when if you're not a Gen Z, you're not a millennial, but you're standing for all the very ideals that we've been fighting for. It doesn't matter, because we also need to be guided by giants. We need to be guided by people like Wanjiru that are saying they have the mobilization capacity of resources. The lives of our friends that are in diaspora and all that. Our main goal is to achieve one. So when we go separate ways, we're going to lose every other good that we have been wishing. So I hope that we can collect and coalesce around one major coalition, and then pull everyone abroad, the likes of everyone, Kimuzi, Hanifa, Kasmuel, Hillary, Maj, everyone else that have been playing a very important Afrocentric, everyone that has been playing a very critical role in the success of this movement. And then we could have studied the founding ideology and the philosophies of these political parties. I am 100% sure that we could back up one aspirant for leadership, and the rest of the leadership positions can be distributed amongst the people that are interested in holding political party, and those people that have that know they have the character and the capability to lead, and they can be also examined based on their previous performances in their previous roles, also their character, their ability to withstand also pressure in public service and all that, the ability to withstand and reject corruption and some of the things that we've been and nepotism and tribalism and all those kind of things. So our work is cut out. If that is the ideology that we're going to stand for, we are going to ensure that we popularize it. We start teaching our parents what it stands for, what we want, the change that we need, and registering the membership of the political parties that we're going to have identified. And then we can start early mobilization and campaigns and resource mobilization, and also political education, so that when we take political power, we don't repeat the same mistakes for the current regimes that they have done. So thank you so much. I hope that we're able to have a discussion about this and the founding ideologies of some of the existing political parties, so that those of us that are interested, we can join. Thank you so much.
Hillary.
Thank you, Abdul Ram, for that. I think, Senator, you can go.
Hi, is it? Oh, so.
Okay, maybe I can give my submission too before the senator goes. Is that okay?
Okay, Abdi. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I think as we discuss this political leadership in Kenya, can you hear me?
Yes, Abdi, we can
Yes,
hear
so
you.
I think it is crucial. I think everybody said it's crucial to recognize the rising influence of the youth, particularly Gen Z, in shaping our political landscape. I think their energy, innovation, and commitment to a better Kenya, I think, is driving a new wave of change that has really offered us hope. We must maintain this momentum, I think. Despite the moment of calm, I think there is a bigger storm coming by doing a lot of civic education, and be vigilant to ensure it is not hijacked by tribalism or political manipulations. I think all generations must stay united and focused and determined to drive the country forward. The other thing I want to talk about is the partyless movement. Now, we must establish clear, visible leadership structure. To strengthen the movement, it's essential to define, I think, present strong, effective leaders who can offer clear guidelines and unite support across the board. Having said that, I think also one thing that has been coming out is about accountability and integrity. This must be at the heart of our leadership. This should be non-negotiable. Look at the recent dismissal of the cabinet secretaries due to incompetence, highlights the need for strict ethical standards as outlined in the Public Officer Act, which must, one question that we must ask ourselves, these individuals should not be allowed to return to public office given their past failures. This is not about individual careers, it's about upholding the principles of good governance, ensuring our leaders are truly working in the best interest of the people. We all know our leaders have shown troubling disregard for the rule of law and the welfare of their citizens. Look at the elevation of individuals with non-corruption records, so high-profile positions. That represent a profound betrayal of our public trust. This is not merely an issue of few bad actors. I think it represents a systemic problem where theft and misconduct are not only tolerated, but celebrated at the highest level. This is what I think. This is not the Kenya we need or we deserve. And then one thing that makes me wonder is the silence from the institutions meant to safeguard our nation, such as ethics and anti-corruption, parliament. Silence and their complicity is always deafening. That's why I think we have to go the people's route. We can get out of this parliament. Their inaction fuels the dangerous perception that justice is selectively applied and that those in power are immune from accountability. That's what it tells us. Despite having critical information needed to address the corruption, the current administration, including the president and his allies, choose to turn a blind eye. They just turn a blind eye to all this. So it raises the question, more serious question, is it fear or is it complicity or is it lack of political will? I don't know. Sometimes this is something that always I wonder if the president is truly a lucky leader or those leaders with shoddy deals come around him like a vulture on a carcass, whether it's a bad luck. Something is more telling about the environment he fosters. The constant presence of questionable characters suggests there are deeper issues at play. The situations now extend beyond mere frustration for us. It's a matter of survival of millions of Kenyans. As a nation, we are drawn in debt. The wealth of few continue to grow, while the ordinary citizens are left to shoulder the burden through unjust taxes and deteriorating public infrastructure, including healthcare and education. When corruption becomes entrenched, I think it threatens the very fabric of our society. It's not only a matter of time before people reach a breaking point, and we are already there. It's not a question, but it's when. What we now need is not the anger, we need the action, we need accountability from these leaders at every level, from the county level. We need accountability. So it is time for the people to raise their voices louder, organize, push for real change, and I think the passive observation is not an option anymore. The future of Kenya and the integrity of its democracy depends on our collective will. This is my final submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdi, for that. I think now we'll allow Senator to go and answering the key questions that have been raised by speakers that were before you. And then after that, we'll have another array of speakers that will also have a go. And kindly, the purpose of this forum is also to enable us grow as a community. So follow the host, follow the co-host, and then look right, left, and right, and then you follow also the listeners that are on the panel and also the speakers. So Senator, please, you can go.
Please, you can text Okiya and make sure if he can hear, because just make sure if he can hear us.
Hillary, try to get Okiya to come back in and then take some of the questions that have been asked. But I think Baraka, you can take some as you for the senator to come in.
Okay. I'm going to put across something which I suppose I mentioned earlier as well, and it is on recalling members of parliament. And there's just something about we are passing the route of dissolving parliament, but that is a bit of an uncertain route, especially when I look at it from the legal perspective. But if we can, we are talking about we cannot wait for 2027, because 3 years is a long time for bad laws to be passed, for more persecution to be occasioned. And I've been talking to a lot of people, especially when it comes to how can we keep the women rep accountable, how can we keep the MPs accountable, even the senators accountable. And we can leverage the support that that our generation, because I'm Generation Z, the generation is giving the movement at the moment, which is Gen Zote, everybody who is involved right here in the space. We can leverage this moment to be able to recall the members of parliament who are allied with the government. And this doesn't apply just to those who are in the UDA. It can be even people who are on the other side of the, okay, they are both on the same side at the moment. We can enable the young people, because the young people do not have finances. And this is something which I have taken note of. And even now, talking to some of people who they want to recall their MPs, they know they have the supporters to be able to recall the MPs, and through the recalling itself, civic education is happening. But if somebody can actually take the effort to start recalling an MP, I think we can identify that person as somebody who is I will say a potential future leader, because they understand what the constitution is providing for, and they're willing to even take that risk. Because oftentimes when we even in the current context, you find that once you initiate the recall process, you often finding yourself making enemies, and somebody has to have the strong will. And in the government that we will want for ourselves, we want people who have strong wills to do that which is good, like strong wills to follow the constitution and not to bow down to external pressure from the Westerners, the Bill Gates that we have mentioned. Let me just also refer to my notes. Let me just open back to what somebody mentioned. The struggle will be one, which is a favorite of Okiya. The struggle will be one on the streets. Any political struggle is one on the streets, and that's what is happening right now. Ruto is winning on the streets. He's going to be in my local town on Tuesday. I'm based in Nairobi, but right now I'm at home because of the recalling of the MP. I want to give it a shot, 100%, and see how it goes. And he will be here on Tuesday. And at the same time, I'm taking that effort to counter, be on the streets, be vocal, be on the local channels, and make an impact. And if we can do that, this even in hundreds of constituencies, you know, in the grassroots, I've been interacting with people who don't know what these bills we are talking about. For them, maybe they're talking about the high cost of living. They don't know if there is the bills that the livestock bill, the religious organizations bill, and the other bills which we see as punitive. For them, they do not know them. They don't have access to X. Or I was out and about in the border shed. The guys don't have smartphones. They have kabambes, so they do not have access to information as we do. And in the streets, that's where we will win the war. And this brings me to the issue that I have raised, and I hope that we can agree, having structures to fund the recall process, especially where in even remote areas, for example, Northeastern, we can be able to sponsor young people there, or people who are willing to advance the recall process, have a structure, and I suppose we can have a committee to be able to track, to be able to even, whenever we're talking about verification, internal verification, we're just collecting signatures. We can have people who are experienced and lawyers lobbying so that we can actually even publicize it. And it's a way of actually keeping our lawmakers accountable, because if the laws, they are going to be recalled, it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult for most of them going forward. Now that they have formed the government, they know that this is what the youth of our country, or the Kenyans, not just the youth, are capable of doing. They can recall you if you pass something which is against their wish. And I think it's important that we set up those structures as soon as possible without wasting time. And I have obviously contacted Hillary and even Okiya on this matter, and so many other people, to be able to see if we can come together and be able to have a centralized way in which, in as much as we are pursuing the dissolution of parliament through court and putting pressure on the CJ, we can also be recalling the MPs, and at the same time as we recall the MPs, because in 3 constituencies I have seen that the support for a recall is there. Then the diaspora committee. I think the diaspora has played a very crucial role, and it's important they also form a committee of their own, and this committee can also be attached to Okiya's shadow cabinet, because in the proposal that I have shared to Okiya in the formation of the shadow government, it is important to have committees. For example, even the issue of debt audit, he cannot do everything, but he can help, he can disseminate this information, and we can have even a strategy on how we're going to publicize this information. We're talking about, for most of us here who have been abroad, like how we find that even through advertisement, lobbying. Let me just use lobbying. We can be able to get a cause out there. You know what is happening with people lobbying for Israel in the US. We can actually lobby for the good things that we want the masses to know, so that they can also support us, so that we can also advance the good governance cause. And then also having an election committee, election integrity accountability committee. I think it's important also, as early as now, we have ideas, and Okiya has brilliant ideas on how we can secure our elections, and we can come together. There are so many brilliant minds. I've been in spaces, and there's so many young people who have brilliant ideas on how we can secure election, how we can even anticipate things which are going to happen, how we can even test drive security of election. Even 1 year, I've been in a forum where people are talking about 1 year to an election, 3 months to an election. We keep testing ourselves, like in all the polling stations, making sure that we can have even agents 1 year to an election as teams, and then testing how we can transmit information, so that if there's this perception, and I think which is also even amongst us as young people, that Ruto is going to steal the election, but it doesn't mean that we do not take all the necessary measures possible. I think I'll stop there, but most of the proposals, I have made them to parties here, and right now I'll encourage each one of us. I am seeing us looking so much into the government when we know the government has failed, and when we know we're looking so much into the past, that this happened at this time, when we need to, at this moment, we need to form the political leadership of tomorrow, of today, now going into tomorrow. You see, we need to stop looking at these established people and start looking into ourselves. I'm looking at myself as a leader, and I'm doing something here, and I'm looking at others, forming groupings, so that we can advance a good cause. In the county government, we in Kisii County government, where I'm based, we are working on forming a shadow county government, and mirroring and making sure that if it's a project, we can able to sensitize people. And if we have this everywhere, it becomes we call it it spreads, and it becomes natural. By the time that we will be having elections, we have leaders who are going to form that parliament, and by that time, not even by that time, we may actually even have leaders of tomorrow coming into parliament. If an MP is recalled, it is a very, very good opportunity for us as a movement to show our teeth and our skin by there's a by-election in the Okiya Wandai's backyard. We need to be able to put our presence and our foot soldiers there so that we can see like how can we make it and prepare. Lessons can be learned, committees can be formed, and these groupings can be consolidated. And I find that if we can have consolidated behind Okiya Omtatah as a central figure and as a coordinator, it can be easier because he's an acceptable figure, and be able to have a finance structure where him and other people who, as we will maybe form a grouping, they can be able to actuate rallies where what Ruto is doing right now. Okiya should be also out there talking about debt here in my home village, talking in the town center, so that the people there can listen, and we can have leaders here talking about it, and we can have barazas where we can say, we're going to have constituencies in one day, every constituency across the country, and facilitate every constituency's meeting to discuss the current affairs, what has happened. And this needs to happen very quickly so that we do not lose steam, and we do not create a situation where divisions may start, people will fall off, and once people fall off, getting them back again up, it can be a bit cumbersome. I think that's my suggestion.
Okay, thank you, Baraka, for that. The senator had dropped, but I've added him back. There is a problem. I don't know what the issue might be. I think let me remove. Yeah, Senator, can you hear us? Senator Okiya?
Kingsman,
Are you? Yes.
who is talking?
I want the senator to chime
Oh,
in,
yeah, I
but
think he dropped, but he's now back. Senator, can you hear?
I've added him back. Yeah? I don't know if we take one person and then
Yeah, let us take one
Senator.
person, then he can come in. Gloria can go.
Hillary?
Yeah.
Let me just make one statement. This is such an important and powerful space. All I'm hearing is we should. And somebody said, Okiya Omtatah is just one person fighting up for us from within. We need to morph into many Okiya Omtatahs. So I'm asking anybody to put their hands up so that whatever we're discussing on this platform is actually actualized. One of the things I'm very passionate about is recalling those MPs according to the Constitution. And they have met all the requirements for being recalled: violation of the Constitution, misconduct, and incompetence. Those three things have already been met, and I think we're about to meet the 2-year threshold. And I would like Okiya Omtatah to please comment on that so that we can start having volunteers saying, I am going to lead in my constituency to recall, to start the process. It's only about collecting 30% of the registered voters to actually get the process going. So I would like us to leave this meeting with anybody who proposes something, put up your hand, say, I'm going to volunteer to lead it, so that we can at least start doing a strategy document and action points so that we can start doing and not talking. Thank you.
That's perfect. Okiya, if you can hear us, Bwana Senator. Okay. I think we'll take Gloria, and then Daktari, I can see your hand up. If the senator won't be able to take on the questions, I think Neto, you can help him as well. Yeah, as we wait for the senator to come back. I think he has a problem with his network. So Gloria Oko, and then Gloria Daktari, and then I see Rurigi Wanjiha, and then Njeri. Yeah, in that order. So Gloria. Wanjira, are you able to hear Gloria?
No, I can't hear Gloria. You know, it happens
Okay,
when the space is reported, so it starts. I also dropped as a co-host. You notice it starts misbehaving when it's reported.
Okay, Daktari Onyango here. Daktari?
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much, Hilary, the co-host, and all the speakers who have come, Senator and Honorable Neto, for the insights we have received. I think I tend to agree with what the last two speakers have spoken to, because I believe we know where we have come from, we know where the problem is, we even know where where we want to go, and what we need to do to get there. Our problem now is, how do we get there? How do we do these things that we need to do? And it is a question that I have posed to many people in the course of, especially after Nani Nani. I happened to have been hosting a number of Gen Zs who came from Mashinani kuja for the Nani Nani, and we had a lot of discussions. And after seeing the outcome of the Nani Nani, actually, these young people challenged me that can we do something? Can you reach out to these people who have been in the front line of the struggle? Here, what do they say? How can we action all these things that we've been saying? But most people seem to be reluctant to take the first step to come out, say, somebody said here, what we need now is a meeting of like minds to sit down and put all these things we have been saying onto paper and lead us. We can't do that, all of us here as a group. We are going to have to maybe rely on a volunteer team, a volunteer secretariat that come up, put all these ideas on paper, agree on a way forward, then bring it back to us for further discussion and for ratification, but on a clear, in a structured manner, so that we don't go back to the very basics. We have defined what Gen Z means from a time immemorial since this struggle started. And I thought even as we went into Nane Nane, there was general consensus that Gen Z means Gen Zote. We're just using the name because it is fancy, and it was the face of it was the mantra of the struggle. So if we are still today coming here to want to go back to discuss whether Gen Z means Generation Z or it means all generations, I think we are going back and forth. All we need now is to put down these good ideas into paper. And I love what the previous Baraka has said, because I have also done that. I work in a public university in this country. I have been doing mobilizations from the background because I don't necessarily believe in doing it in the front line, also based on the nature of the work that I do. So we are in touch with this. We see young people, a great army of young people who want to be nurtured into the next level. But right now, I see still the division that kicked in during that time should not kick in. We should not allow that to kick in, because I see three schools of thought so far. There is one group that still believes that we don't need to organize. We need to remain as we were, and we need to be going to keep going to the streets. And spaces have been held even after Nani Nani, a few spaces that I attended to that effect. There's another group that believe in a second school of thought that believed in this idea of organization from the beginning. So while we, during that time when we still believed we needed to be leaderless and faceless and organic to be able to push that active part of the struggle, there are a few people who believed in organization. They pulled aside and started doing their own things. Then now there is us now who are saying, what do we do going forward? So I think we really need to. Oh, okay. There's also a fourth group. There's also other groups who are there's a lot of underhand machinations and schemes for various interests are kicking in. People who may not necessarily have the real vision of this struggle at heart, wanting to take advantage of everything. So we really need to have a clear way forward, so there are no mixed signals. Yeah, I saw some people waving flags of the Communist Party of Kenya you know. So there's a lot. But now, how do we really emerge out of this so that we keep while the momentum is still there, we are able to craft something out of all these struggles. We are able to build a shared vision, then carry it forward. We may not be able to do that here as a group, and people are reluctant. I've reached out even to people who are very...
Daktari, try to land in a minute because we also have a lot of speakers and time is not on our side.
Yeah.
We want to close at the top of the hour. So
yeah, thank you.
Please, when you get the mic, try to land in 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So mine is just a challenge to us that can we have a few people who step out and take the first, that, you know, this first, we don't have leaders, we know that. And we don't even have a structure or a system to select people and give them responsibility. Can we rely on volunteers like Baraka, who sounded like he is willing to do something? Why don't we get in touch with such people after this, Baraka and any other person? Then we just sit down. We know what the people have said. Try to capture all this vision. Then when we come in next, we are able to see where to go. We are not also going to be able to succeed by doing all our strategies here on X, which are open and people can see. So there are some things that need to be done. There needed to be a volunteer kitchen cabinet that cooks things somewhere so that we don't expose ourselves fully to the enemy, because we know the enemy is also there and they are in these spaces. That is why some of us, based on the nature of our jobs, we have been doing underhand mobilizations and supporting our Gen Zs to go to the streets. So let us have a team of volunteers. Baraka, the way you said, after this, let us get in touch. I have already DM'd you. Let us volunteer to carry this vision forward so that the next time we come here, we come to discuss something. We are not saying they are going to make 100% decisions for us. They will try to capture all these things we have said, then bring it back to us for ratification. Where we don't like, we modify. Where they have wrongly captured what we meant, we rectify and move on. And I think that is my humble appeal to that. Senator Okiya and all these people may shy from doing that because people there is that fear that you will be labeled as the one who is, the way now Jimmy Wanjigi was being labeled as the one financing the revolution. So some people fear. So why don't we have a few, even if they are neutral people, taking that initial step to put something in place, then we structure and solidify it as we move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daktari. Senator Okiya, if you can hear us.
Yes, I keep on losing you. I don't know why.
I think
we can hear you now.
With our, we can
but
hear
I can
you.
hear you. Although you are very faint. I don't know what's wrong.
But they're trying
when you make me a speaker, I lose you. When I'm not a speaker, I'm able to hear you well. But anyway, maybe I could answer the earlier questions I was asked before I lost the link. Hello?
Yes, Senator. Go with whichever order that you think is appropriate.
Okay. There was a question of anarchists. I think the president deliberately believes, and it has worked for many people, that you mischaracterized something and you can get away with it. So he wanted to dehumanize whatever was happening, dehumanize the protest.
I can't get Senator.
Even me. I think
I can't hear you.
They're trying to interfere with this gadget. Let me know what's happening on the ground. Somebody can go because they can't hear him. So Kinyanjui, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yes. So I'd just like to start by first noting that Daktari, who has come before, has called the government the enemy. I'd like to remind Kenyans that that is in fact the case. Imagine that a government we have elected has declared war on its citizens, basically. Keep that in mind as we continue the discussion. But first, I'd like to talk about something that has not been belabored on as the effect of this corruption. We have a very dangerous poverty of imagination amongst our leadership, politically and economically in the country. So somebody has made 100 million shillings in a year, and then you ask them, what is your plan for ensuring mass employment in Kenya? Instead of industrial revolution, instead of mechanical value-adding processors, their answer is farms in the UK. Their answer is households in Saudi Arabia. So this dangerous, and I'd like to remind us Kenyans that this is the result of corruption. This dangerous of poverty of imagination is in our police. This dangerous poverty of imagination is in our civil servants, our teachers, our doctors, everywhere. I used to be a lecturer before I moved on to other positions, is in our universities. So how do we get rid of this entire poverty of imagination that is in our intellectual, political, and social leadership? Even the church is poor. That's why it depends on politicians to run its affairs instead of being another center of power. So we must replace this poverty of thinking in the country with the thinking that is goal-oriented, a thinking that is Kenya-oriented. On the importance of technology, a speaker was just come before and talked about technological determinism. Now, I like resisting this point because I don't want us, I am a technologist, I study artificial intelligence. And first on the comment on whether artificial intelligence can be more intelligent than human beings, I'd like to comment that the answer to that question is not so obvious, actually. But nonetheless, technology does not make human beings more moral. This is true. This is entirely true. But however, technology empowers people to fight immorality. The one thing that governments of dictatorships and governments by incompetence do is underestimate the value and power of technology. This has been true from the discovery, the invention of writing in Africa and Europe and Asia. This has been true with the development of social media. This has been true with and this will be true with the development of artificial intelligence. Technology is a civic weapon, and it must be used as such. It is the one hand that you, Gen Z, have against the government. Use technology as much as possible. It is an empowerer. Now, on this issue that has been belabored, and I would like to add just a bit of it to it, the choice is entirely ours. We have been running these protests and force for change of leadership on the basis of anger, on the basis of emotions, in an unstructured manner. Now, it is now a revolt. It is a tax revolt. The choice whether we want to make this revolt an actual revolution such that the Kenya that comes after this process will be much different from the Kenya that was there before is based on the question of whether we can structure this revolt. If we fail to structure this revolt, it will be a wave of protests, and the next wave which will come will be not so kind to the political class. It will also be unstructured, but it will destroy the country. A structured system, a disciplined system, a goal-oriented system that does not rely on emotions is an extremely powerful thing. Remember, even in Kenyan politics, that the moment Raila took advantage, and Raila must be, yes, he is a problematic character, I agree completely, but it must be understood what he did in 2005, heading to 2007. There was a popular revolt against a disappointment towards the Kibaki government. Raila was able to structure this popular revolt and turn it into ODM, a party which has lasted 15 years, 19 years at the very least. The ANC structured Black Revolt in South Africa. We must get to that position where we want to structure, because structure implies permanence. People might be compromised, people might be forced to leave the movement, but the structure, the ideology, the goals that are driving the party will maintain its permanence. And it's very, very difficult to fight a structured permanent system. So I'd like to put this to the consideration of the listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kinyanjui. And guys, we are coming. We have a few people. We have 40 minutes to go. We want people to go down. Dr. Go ahead, AJ.
Thank you very much. I'll be very sober. I'll try to be very sober, but again, very brief. I can see my area MP, Dr. Neto. I mean, my former MP, Neto. He did a good job back at home. Then there are a few things I wanted to address to him and Senator Okiya Omtatah. Now, I want to first to support the issue that Wanjiru has brought on board. And this is very, very important. For the last 2 months, we have been here in the space trying to look at the different atrocities that not only these regimes, but the whole political class has poured to Kenyans for the longest time possible. That said then, I think now we are persuaded by nature and law to move quickly and we stop what they have, because I think we have made a lot of sentiments which are purely true based on the atrocities that majority of political class has made Kenya to be where it is now. I am persuaded that now we have all the space possible, because this platform has really brought us together to now take decisive action and forge forward on how we can now take the next action that will actually bring this political class out of the government, so that we can have our own government that we can put into account. I am persuaded that now moving forward, we need to form a secretariat, and if possible, come up with people of like-minded, drawn from big followers, because I can assure you that majority of the people who are influencing our revolt are actually big followers in this platform, in X. I'm persuaded that we need to be very diplomatic, because it is not going to be one process. It's gonna be a lot of discussion, a lot of sober deliberations, until we come to a point where now we have a major political coalition or alliance that can be able to send the entire political class home if any of them must have in any way escaped the distance between now and 2027. We need to take decisive action, and we need to work with a work plan that on this, moving from now to maybe 30 days to come, this is what we are going to do. And we need to be very diplomatic, because Gen Zs that and millennials, millennials have already said that they don't want to associate with any political class. And diplomatically speaking, I'm persuaded then to ask Honorable Neto, Honorable Okiya Omtatah, and any political leader who is here, that we need to support the Gen Zs to come with their own political party. And this is the diplomatic way it is possible. Because as much as I support that we need, the only way for us to be in a position to remove these political wolves out of the system is coming together in one united alliance. Because this larger group of the people who are in front line for this revolt are actually millennials and Gen Zs, and they have already pronounced themselves. We are now persuaded, as people with a lot of experience, to diplomatically help them come with their political party. Okay, then we form an alliance. And before then, I had said that now we need to have a national deliberation that brings all these people of like-minded in one dialogue. We can organize for a national day nationally, that we can come together, deliberate on a range of issues affecting us, draw people of mighty influences both in X and in different platforms, and we deliberate. I am persuaded that maybe if that will be taking time, then now moving forward, maybe between now and maybe in the next 30 days, Honorable Neto and Mr. Okiya Omtatah, there is need that now we all come together and form a certain small group of people who can be able to pull influencers together. Then we deliberate, they bring their views, and we see a way in which we can create a lot of peace and diplomatic way moving forward. There are a lot of issues that now we need to bring on board now that Article.
Dr. Yagi,
Yes, I'm
less than 40 minutes. Kindly try to land, please, so that we can give other speakers a chance to also make their submission.
Okay, let me just land, King. And then my last bit was, we now need to start thinking as dictated by Section 45 and 46 of Elections Act, how we are going to send away all the MPs back to the grassroots level, and how we are going to make sure that CDF goes to Ministry of Education to support free education. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. I think Lavi Almighty and then Flo Nyaga. Very.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Okay, first of all, my name is Lavi Amolo, Kenyan citizen and a proud member of Change Seekers. Let me start by thanking the hosts, led by Hillary, and all like-minded Kenyans who are here. Now, listening to speakers here, one thing that comes clear to me is that we are almost willing to participate in the status quo. And by that I mean we are trying to come up with ways to leverage what they have. We are hoping that if there was an election today, we can participate. But how would we? How do you go into a contest with a referee that is already biased? I think one thing we need to do and we have to be clear about is that William Ruto is removable because Kenyans did that on June 25th. And I think we should focus. William Ruto is out. And William Ruto knows he's removable because you see what he did after June 25th. He's tried to cobble up an illegal government cabinet that is only pieced together for survival. So for me, I would urge all of us to focus our energies on riling ourselves, especially those who are physical in Kenya. I'm not. But that does not deny me participation. I'm Kenyan. To focus our energies on doing what the Bangladeshi youth did. And mark you, they borrowed a lot from us. We inspired that movement. And they stayed with it through and through until the vagabond was gone. And then a lot of people were saying, oh, but the military will take over. But look what has happened there. They've installed integrity by insisting on what they wanted to achieve. Let us not veer off our goal. What we wanted to achieve was to get this thug out of state house and out of power. The more we try to structure, the more we give them room, to clamp back and to keep killing more. And they will, because they do not care as long as they stay in power. Like if elections were held today in Omtatah's backyard, they will drag him out. The political system as it is in Kenya is not designed for people with integrity. And we all know that. And so they'll do everything to stay in power. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be structures, but we can have everything we so wish the day after William Ruto is out. And we can remove him. He can't kill all of us. We proved it on June 25th that it can only kill a few. But anybody who wants change, because change does not come from a place of comfort, must be willing to die. And as long as we need that change, nothing should stop us from going against these tyrants. Because Kenya will not change. You know, some people will tell you, like NATO or Omtatah or Dr. Kombe, so are here. But these movements have been there. They've been very credible. At some point, there were credible people who changed, like Orengo, you know. But they never got any close to doing what was done on June 25th. You know, that was very rare in Africa and the world at large. And they know, Raila knows, so does Ruto. And they know they can be removed, and Kenyans have done it and will do it. My suggestion is that we do all we can to take these guys out of office. And I want to appeal to everyone in the diaspora like myself. Let us support, let us engage, let us speak to people, let us apply our resources, put our money where our mouths are, and help people on the ground to combine this energy so that we can get these people out. It's in the interest of saving our country. Look what they're doing. You saw, like, that thief Murkomen, less than 24 hours after he was sworn in.
Now, please try to land. And for the speakers that are coming up, kindly when you say 2 minutes.
Okay, let me finish by just saying, I think the focus to me may not be popular, is to get these guys out. Let's find ways of sustaining the momentum of protest, of going after them, of demanding their removal and getting them out. All these things we're talking about will come, and we'll do them the day after, the moment after. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I don't know what is happening. Guys, you guys are dropping. Can you check your network and also check your connection? Uh, uh,
Hillary?
yes, Wanjiru.
My tech team is telling me that your space has been reported numerous times. That's why it's shaking.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
And I think the next
numerous
thing,
times.
they are even trying to make it collapse.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
that's
tried
why it's
that.
shaking.
They tried that twice, but it's okay, guys. Everything is okay. They will try as much as they can, but you don't worry. We are here, and this conversation will be going on throughout, and we really appreciate it. That's what I'm trying. That's why you see sometimes I'm quiet. They have tried twice today to drop it down, but we are still here strong, and we'll keep it strong always. Let's Justice, I see you. You can channel some people. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you very much for having me.
Right.
I
I
think
was
the
next,
next one
Hilary.
was Flo Nyaga. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, Jaga, then yeah, that's not. Lawi, thank you, Lawi. Let us be in touch. Thank you so much. Flo, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Hilary, the co-hosts and all the speakers. I won't say much because most of what I needed to say has been highlighted by most of the speakers. I just want to say something. I had Honorable Neto say, and maybe another guy who I don't remember his name. They highlighted that in this country we have like 90 or something political parties. So moving forward, because most people are talking about structure and moving forward, including me, we don't really need another political party. We can join in the giants who've been there. Personally, I would say I am for forming a new political party, because from where I'm standing, as someone who has been very active in this movement and in the ground, hearing what these people are saying, the Gen Zs and the millennials and everyone else, once we bring in all this in a senator and all those like-minded people, and we form and we join them in their already existing political party, we will not necessarily get the trust. We might lose the trust that we are now hoping to conquer with the Gen Zs and the millennials, those people who believe that everyone in the government right now is corrupt. And we all know not everyone is the system that is corrupt. So I think moving forward, the best way, according to my observation, the best way we can be able to move forward and structure this movement is form another political party or another structure, and make it strong with all the frontline leaders who akina Kasmel, akina Okayo, akina Hanifa and all those people who were vocal, so that they can all come together. And people like Wanjiro, I've been hearing her talk a lot, and she has very brilliant ideas. You can help us, and Barasa, you can help us bring all these people together so that we can form a structure. Then we can bring in these brilliant minds like the senator, maybe Masakaro, or anyone who we feel like we are speaking the same language with them, and they can advise us and tell us how to move forward. And it's from these advices and moving forward that we're going to go. Then we can form the alliances now with these existing political parties, and then moving forward we can now be able to turn this country around. What I was trying to insist on is let's form something new from this movement, because it has very many followers. In fact, it will have the biggest followers, because if we decide to align with an existing political party, we are going to lose half of the people. I can tell you, we're going to lose more than half of the people who believe in this movement, just because of the assumption of si gava ishaingia, so unaona waliingizwa kwa box na government wakasasa wakasema wa align now, they will all go back to the same issue of corruption, and that may be not that may not be the case here. So I don't want to say much because we have 2 minutes. I really want to highlight on what Dr. has said and Dr. Ejeyo, that let's start now. I even texted Barasa, actually, me the same way Dr. did. Let's do something right now. Let's sit down and talk about this. Tuanze kufanya hii mambo size. Let's not always go on space. It's been reported. It's been infiltrated. All of us who are like-minded, let us go and sit somewhere, talk about how to move forward with this agenda and how to build this country to the next level. And also something else I want to insist on. It's from this coming together and identify, it will help us identify who the future leaders are going to be. Because someone cannot just, I keep saying this, someone cannot just come out from nowhere. I'm from this space. I know I'm going to do a semi. I can make a good leader. We don't know you. We don't know who you are. We don't know the kind of values that you have. The biggest problem we have in the government right now is because we have people without values. Watu wako na tabia mbaya, they are rapists, they are this, so someone cannot, we are all different types of people here. We need to work together so that we can get to know each other better. Kwa space hatuwezi juana, we just follow each other and talk our mind. Let us get to know each other, sit down, talk, have coffee or tea, hata kama tutakuwa watu 1000, and get to know each other better personally. Let's go out for let's tuende huko nje kama ni all those counties. Let's do civic education together so that we can be able to know the kind of values and the kind of people that we are dealing with here. I think that will help us even when you're going to the ballot next time. We will be able to know who we are actually voting for. Sio mtu tu alisimama akasema ati I can make a good leader. Let us get to know who these good leaders are. And I feel like the way we are unable to put Ruto out of the seat right now might be a blessing in disguise, so that we don't get him out only to bring someone else who is even worse than him. Let us have time to know who we are going to elect next, to know who we are going to put on these seats that we are planning on removing all these people who are not doing things according to the way they are done. I think maybe that will help moving forward. And also something else was said before I finish, sorry. There was a guy who said moving forward, structure is important, because even when Hanifa was doing a fundraising, some people were not able to get the help they were needed. I can say one of the reasons where that was is because maybe Hanifa is just one person. She's not able to reach to everyone in the country, and that was the reason, because there was no structure. If there was a structure, there could have been a committee which will say watu 5 waende Kisumu, watu 2 waende Mombasa, watu need to do it, so that we can have a record of every injured person, and then the money can be allocated properly with accountability. I don't think what the guy was trying to say Hanifa did a bad thing. I think what he was trying to say is, if kama kuna na structure, we could have been able to help everyone, even the people who were arrested and didn't have bail. Thank you so much. That's my submission for today.
Thank you so much, Flo, for that submission, and we appreciate it. Lady Justice, who's coming next? So that we have 20 minutes to go, guys.
I think it's Rurigi. Rurigi?
Rurigi, 2 minutes, bro. 2 minutes. Rurigi? Okay. Okay, Chiku Africa, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for organizing these meetups. They really help us to strategize and share ideas, and just sometimes people just need to open up and say how they feel. My main issue now is looking at where we are and where we've come from. I think the first protest really got a lot of traction, and there were so many gains from the first protest. We can see that the government listened, and they panicked, and Ruto had to dissolve his cabinet and reject the finance bill. But after that, he gained some kind of um, momentum in terms of how to deal with these protests. He brought in the army. I think when he brought in the army, that showed that he was ready to just, brutalize anybody who was, trying to say anything or go against what he thinks is doing right. So I think that what we need to do, because whatever we do moving forward, he has already reorganized himself. You can see the people on the street, some of them wearing masks and wearing, driving cars with no plates. He's already, he has that sorted. Anytime we protest, he will come out and he will brutalize people. So the last protest, how he managed it. So I think what we need to do is to put pressure on the government. First of all, to be accountable for all the deaths. Anybody who's died, anybody who's been injured, we need to put pressure. I think civil society, law society of Kenya, and even as individuals, we can write to international bodies. We can write to any organization that observes human rights to put pressure on the Kenyan government, so that when we organize again and we move out, we know that that is not going to happen. Because as long as he is going to, shoot at us, we're not going to make any progress moving forward. But if we can get our human rights protected, we can be able to protest again, and we can be able to say, this is not right. Even when things happen, for example, at Nyayo House and people are not getting IDs, people can organize and just go and protest outside Nyayo House and say, we cannot, it cannot go on like this, because if they don't give us IDs, then that's a way of rigging the next general election. So I think putting pressure about what has happened so far in terms of human rights abuse will be a very, very key thing moving forward. Because even if we move and form political parties and start thinking about, meeting and forming all these groups, people will be targeted, people will be picked, and people will be disappearing. This violence needs to be checked. It needs to be challenged. Even if it's writing to International Criminal Court, a message needs to be sent out there. Ruto needs to know that, other organizations are watching him. The American human rights, I don't know, advisor came and spoke to him. And even when she was still in the country, they were shooting people on the streets. So I think that's my main concern. I don't know whether anybody else would agree with me. Anyway, I need to drop. Thank you.
Asante sana Chiku for that submission. Could we please go to Abdi? 2 minutes, please. Abdi? Butros. Oh, go ahead. Abdi, go ahead.
Okay, I passed the mic. I was just to read the comments. I'll do it later. Thank you.
Oh, we are closing in the top of the hour, so just Butros, please go ahead. So you need Butros.
Okay, I'm there. Thank you for the mic, the host Hillary. Okay, me, I was just thinking we should have a structure. You know, if you don't have a structure, there is no far we will be going. So those who have been talking about having the formlessness, no, it has been long. The two successive, we call them, those we are going to state house, occupying the state house and the parliament. I think that one is enough. So right now we should have a party that will take us. We'll mobilize. Then when we reach 2027, at least we can shield. We can have a candidate for us, because we can't just fight these people when we are leaderless, formlessness. It won't help that much. So I think we should just have a party. We just mobilize people. So when we see 2027, at least we'll have our own candidate. That's my submission. Thank you.
Asante sana for that submission. Linda Stewart, the mic is yours.
Butros, umepewa mic.
Butros amemaliza. It's Linda.
Oh, okay. Linda, go ahead.
Hi, can somebody else go and then I'll go next? I'm sorry.
No.
It just
All right.
got me. Or are you guys stopping? Are you guys finishing? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're finishing in 13 minutes.
Okay, let me go next. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, let me create a lineup in this case. So we'll go with Rosemary, if you're ready.